Is Netflix absolutely crazy? I'm sure that's what so many people are asking after it came out that Netflix kind of, sort of, but also not really decided to continue their deal with Harry and Meghan. However, it is very much changed and akin to what we had heard rumors of earlier, which is a first look deal, a way to subtly show creators the door while also trying to save face a little bit and put the best spin on the situation. But obviously, Harry and Meghan stans are claiming that Harry and Meghan won. They have this great success. But do they really? Or is it this just a sign of things to come? Because the slate of productions that are going to come out under the banner of Harry and Meghan, I'm like, that's all you have? Really? Really? So we are going to get into all of this today and explore some of the business shenanigans that might be going on because they are all putting a positive spin on this. But I can almost bet you bottom to dollar, that's exactly what it is. Spin. So again, we are going to explore this. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network before, my name is Brittany. I do provide compelling royal commentary. So please hit that subscribe button. I would absolutely love to have you back. And of course, this is sort of the doldrums of royal news cycle, which means that Harry and Meghan are out there quite a bit. This happened last August because August is a time most of the royals go on vacation. They're chilling. They're not really out there doing much. And I usually take this time to try to rethink the channel. But of course, 12,000 things drop in a week and it's like, oh my gosh. So we got to get to this story. But real quick, we do have Crown Prince Christian who continues his education in the armed forces. And the three other royal children will begin a new school year very, very soon. Her Royal Highness Princess Isabella will continue her secondary education and will graduate in the summer of 2026. And Prince Vincent has chosen a different school for his education here. I won't try to pronounce some of these names because they're very complicated in Danish, and I will do a bad job at it. And then Princess Josephine has decided to continue her schooling in a different school. So we do have the kids sort of separated. So this is going to be a very big, I feel like, transition time for all of their royal highnesses. So that's very, very exciting. And we do have Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden and her father, King Carl Gustaf, meeting with the Prime Minister of Sweden. And we did have the External Affairs Committee convene. And it's actually kind of funny. I have a dress similar to Victoria's there. And so I do really like that. According to the Constitution, the government shall continuously keep the Foreign Affairs Committee informed of the foreign policy conditions that may gain importance to the state and discuss with the committee on these issues as often as needed. So we do have some royal things going on, but just not too much, especially from the Brits. They are obviously gearing up for Princess Anne's 75th birthday, but that is sort of the biggest thing going on right now. We will have some commemorations for the end of World War II in Asia, so we shall see some of the royals doing that this week as well. But on to obviously this huge breaking Netflix news. And I'm sure some people were thinking this wouldn't happen. I was somewhat among them because it just doesn't make any financial sense really to continue with Harry and Meghan. They just don't bring in that much, especially to the level that they were previously at. But when the first look thing came out, I was like, well, that's a strong possibility because, well, it keeps Harry and Meghan somewhat on the hook and around, but at the same time without fully going 100% with them as well. So let's go ahead and look at the Hollywood Reporter piece, which had the best headline. And it should be noted that my understanding is that all of the Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and Deadline are technically owned by the same people. So they all essentially came out with the same story, but with different headlines. However, I did forget. I wanted to show you one thing first here real quick, which is that if you're on the front page of the Hollywood Reporter, you put in Meghan, Harry, Netflix, you'll probably get something. You're not getting the Harry and Meghan thing. It's not the top story of the day. And what this sort of tells me, I could go on probably a different page and find something different. But really, at the end of the day, the entertainment industry is not all that invested in Harry and Meghan. There are a ton of people on multiple sides of the discussion over royals who are, but really it's almost sort of idiotic that Netflix continues to go with it because you have the people who love Harry and Meghan and are calling this a win. You have the people who hate Harry and Meghan here on the other side. And there's not that many hate watchers, to be quite honest. Netflix knows this. They've had at least 3 rounds of quote unquote things that people could hate watch, which they didn't watch at all. And you're really just playing to these crowds and not really playing to actually having good production, good stories, good those sorts of things. So it's really quite lame in many ways. But let's look at the actual story, and we have to actually, search for it. It doesn't come up right away. And of course, you have to go newest first. And there we go. And they put Meghan here in particular because you'll notice something very, very telling about all this. So it says Netflix downgrades Meghan Markle and Prince Harry to a first look deal, just like the Obamas. So Hollywood Reporter, compared to others, straight out of the gate says this is a downgrade. And it is. I feel like when I hear first look deal, it's usually in connection with somebody that the studios had either issues with, has not produced as well as they wanted it to, and wants to get them out the door while also leaving the door open at the same time. I feel like that's the level of Harry and Meghan's deal here. They want to leave the door open, particularly for divorce. That is what Netflix is banking on, I think, here in many ways, is divorce. Their happy talk of how much money Harry and Meghan supposedly make them is just that. It's just happy talk. I'm sorry, it just is. I know Harry and Meghan stands are like, oh, you just don't like them. But you just look at the hard, fast figures and none of that makes sense. It says if you ask the streamer, it's an extension. So you have in some ways kind of this competing narrative where they're saying this is a downgrade, but at the same time, the streamer sees it as an extension, but with big caveats attached. So it says Netflix has extended its creative partnership with Archwell, Harry and Meghan's production company, with a multi-year first look deal for all the Archwell film and television projects. The many there are of that. It took them 5 years to produce 5 things. One of them was basically done and they just slapped a bit of themselves in it and that was it. So really 4 projects. And they're all documentaries. Not all that hard to produce in comparison to a production that requires actors and extras and all those sorts of things. Although I'm sure there was plenty acting in Harry and Meghan's documentary, Harry and Meghan, just saying. In practice, it is a downgrade from the 2020 overall deal at the birth. Harry and Meghan, Polo, which nobody watched, and With Love, Meghan, they should put this should not be italicized because it's not a title, among other projects. The overall to first look extension mirrors the move Netflix made recently with the Obamas, as well as others, for their higher ground banner. In both cases, the exclusivity carried by their respective splashy original deals has been removed. So, as some people have claimed, well, Harry and Meghan now get to keep their stuff if they make it. Good. They're not good. So, the thing is, with a first look deal, Netflix can look at it and go, no. Well, Harry and Meghan now can shop it around. What if nobody bites? The reality is, when it comes to the entertainment industry, it's a dying industry. YouTube and TikTok are killing them. So this is not an industry that is rolling in cash the same way it was even 5 years ago. Netflix is actually the best and only place to make a deal, to be quite honest. Paramount is essentially bankrupt. Warner Brothers is kind of bordering on that. They're not bringing in any money. They've had a lot of flops. Disney is a disaster zone. They've had a lot of flops. Everybody is flopping pretty hard. And Netflix is the only streaming service. They won the streaming war and they're doing fairly well. So that is the best spot. And none of these projects, Harry and Meghan did well. With Love, Meghan, I would argue, did mediocre. Polo completely and utterly flopped. Live to Lead completely flopped. Heart of Invictus completely flopped. I will say again, my Heart of Invictus review got more views than Heart of Invictus. Yeah. So not that many. And it says, as part of the new deal, Netflix is also partnering with Markle's As Ever lifestyle brand. And this is very key here, is that Meghan is the one commenting on the deal. Because I think Harry's done. I think Harry does not give a crap about this. I think Harry is basically checked out. Once Polo failed, once Heart of Invictus failed, he's like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm out of this. And Meghan is the one desperately trying to make this work. And to give her credit, she is. But she's not talented in this. She is not. So she says, we're proud to extend our partnership with Netflix and expand our work together to include the As Ever brand. I feel like Meghan putting that first again shows where Meghan's emphasis is. She keeps roping Netflix in. And I still firmly believe Netflix is not that invested with As Ever. Again, all of this is PR happy talk to let everybody save face and put the best spin on it. But let's look it up right now. Meghan Markle's wine is still in stock. And again, she teased it potentially. Let's go over here. Selling out. And yet it's still in stock. So is Meghan Markle finally stalking correctly? Like, we don't really know, and that's part of the problem. Part of the transparency of running a business is not playing the stalking games that Meghan has had. Not putting enough stock in of the tea, of the jam or whatever, the spread. We have the wine now. All these sorts of things. The reason the questions exist, the reason I criticize is because she played games in the first place, and when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And that's exactly what Meghan Markle has won. But this whole idea here, this whole gobbledygook nonsense, which drives me absolutely batty, going over how my husband and I feel so inspired. I can't think of two people less inspired than the two of you. Like, literally, your best performing thing was about yourselves. If every project could be about yourselves, you guys would be totally happy. You don't have that much to offer. And then it goes on to say, Archwell teams create thoughtful content. None of your content is particularly thoughtful or thought provoking, to be quite honest, that resonates, and across genres too. You guys have barely done any other genres. All you've done is documentaries. Let's be honest, and bad ones at that. And I like documentaries. Again, every single documentary of theirs struggles with being boring, bloated, and not having a decent story. Every single one of them. So, goes on to say as well, resonates globally, it doesn't, and celebrates our shared vision. I still don't know what her vision is. Her vision is basically, I want to make money and look as fake charitable as possible. So, and then we do have, of course, Bella Varia from Netflix. I don't know, like, Bella should take a bow here. With Love Meghan was her idea. As ever, was her idea. It wasn't Meghan's. So she says, Harry and Meghan are influential voices whose stories resonate with audiences everywhere. Okay, that's happy talk for people hate watch them, and that's sort of good enough for Netflix right now. They're not influencing people. Really, influence is I watch Polo and then I want to go see more Polo. That's influence. I watched Polo. It looked boring and dull, and the people looked very self-indulgent, so I did not wanna go and watch more Polo. So, yeah, it sort of failed. The response to their work speaks for itself. It really doesn't. And we're still on Harry and Meghan? That was 3 years ago! Oh my gosh, why are you guys dredging up something? The one success they had 3 stinking years ago, Netflix. Come on now. Gave viewers an intimate look into their lives and quickly became one of our most watched documentary series. Yeah. And this again, that this is the first thing she mentions gives you a clue. Netflix wants their pound of flesh. They want more of the disaster zone of Harry and Meghan because that's what sold. That's what made them money. None of this other stuff makes them money. It just doesn't. And so that's what they want more of, and I'm sure that's what they're pushing. It also says more recently, fans have been inspired by With Love Meghan. A very small amount of people were actually inspired with the products from the As Ever line consistently selling out in record time. What happened this time, guys? It didn't, did it? Oops. Did Meghan? I mean, Meghan could have, guys, because I think there's a lot of machinations going on from probably both sides here. Meghan could have 150% been artificially selling out in order to try to get a better deal with Netflix. 100% she could have been doing that. And now since she has her deal, she feels no more need to try to sell out the wine this time or fake selling it out because she doesn't have to anymore. She got the deal. Now, is the deal very good? That I don't know because I think Netflix has a route to sort of push back against her. But again, we'll get into all of this hopefully very, very soon. So, says as well, that we're excited to continue our partnership with Archwell Productions and to entertain our members together. Nobody's being entertained except for laughing at them. They're not that entertaining, neither one of them. All their stuff is boring and bloated. It may look pretty with love, but it's not particularly good. So it talks about Harry and Meghan, and this is some of what we're getting for additional. So season 2 of With Love Meghan will premiere later this month. Oh, it will premiere in August. Okay. And a new holiday special will stream this December. Okay, so this is actually really, really key here, is that they're not confirming a season 3. Now compare this to One Piece, which I know this because I do actually follow this show. And so they got an early renew for season 3. And guys, I forgot to mention that we haven't even seen season 2. Season 2 is actually not debuting until 2026. So more than 4 months away. So this show is very effects heavy. It's very location heavy. There's not actually a stable set really, except for a boat. They travel around. And so this is a very expensive show. And to get to season 3 is actually a really big commitment because number 1, this could probably actually go 20 seasons this show. There's so much material to go over. But kind of to get to season 3 is actually really fascinating because it tells us that I think they've seen enough of season 2 that they're really excited to put the additional money in to get the season 3. Now, if we do seasons 4 and beyond, that's a huge question because again, there's a boatload of material here. You could probably do 10 seasons and just get through the first half of the series. And that's not really even true. It wouldn't be the total first half. Anyways, so that's a pretty big deal for them to do, but we didn't get that here. And Megan's Show is so much cheaper to produce. You just produced it in California, which is a pain in the butt because there's a lot of taxes. You have to go through a lot of unions and those sorts of things. And so that makes it more cost heavy than it should be for the content that it is. But we only get a holiday special. I feel like that's really lame and kind of silly because number 1, Megan doesn't host anybody. She doesn't host anybody because she has no family, really. She's distanced from every family member except for her mother. So it's like if you're somebody who hosts 12 people for the holidays, how is Megan supposed to help you? She doesn't know what that's like. And then you also have this 23.4 million views over its first 4 days for Harry and Meghan. I mean, guys, Meghan's series only got a quarter of that over or less, a quarter or less of that over the span of about 3 months. No, wait. When did her show debut? March, right? So 3 months, 3 plus months. Yeah. So that's not that impressive. So like their best performing thing was a quarter less over 3 plus months compared to their show in the first 4 days. So really this is telling you here. So Hollywood Reporter is almost grinding or screwing the axe to them here because this tells me 100% that Harry and Meghan have seen a severe downgrade in the viewability of their content. A severe, severe downgrade. So I can imagine, given that they had so many views in their first 4 days, like a whole week or whatever, I mean, you're looking at 50 plus million views easy. Could even get up into 100 million. But now she can only get 5 million over the span of several months. So a tenth of the overall viewership for like Harry and Meghan, probably in the first 6 months, is what Meghan got for her show in 3 months. So this is not a deal that is going up. It's a deal on the downward trajectory. So Archwell's current projects set up at Netflix also include feature film Meet Me at the Lake, which I think was announced in like 2023. So that has been in development hell for a long time because neither one of them know how to do any of this. Neither one of them do. And then there's a documentary short, Mosca Kids, A Rhythm Within, a partnership between Archwell and Campfire Studios in association with Era Productions. And it's a short, is what it was. Yeah, it says here, short. So this is a short piece of content. So does any of this scream to you that Netflix is like super enthused about the deal? I don't think so. This is something that has been set up already. This is something that's short. That was probably already in production. And she's the only new thing that we might be getting that we didn't know we were getting before is the holiday special. And that's it. That's it. That is it. So that's all we've got for this article. And I just did want to share page 6 here real quick because I think they've got the bigger handle on thing, which says that the deal is much less than their previous $100 million deal. It's not much, an insider told Page 6 on Monday. It's no risk for Netflix, but saves them both reputationally. Now, it's kind of funny because the article goes down and like sings everybody's praises, which is really weird because it's like you're just clearly saying they're not getting that much and going, oh, how great this is. Very strange. So what do I think is going on here? I don't have any insiders with Netflix. If anybody from Netflix wants to hit me up, that's awesome. But I try to look at things analytically. And generally, when I do that, usually my analysis and my predictions are generally fairly spot on, not fully. But this is what I think happened because we had a very interesting series of events at play here. Number one, On July 17th, I looked this up because I was going to do a Twitter thread and I didn't get a chance to finish it. But number one, that's when Netflix released its What We Watched for 2025, the first half, and we saw how poorly With Love Megan performed. And so it almost immediately came out a couple of days later that, hey, Netflix isn't renewing the deal. I think it was first reported in the Daily Mail. I didn't really totally buy it until People Magazine picked it up. I'm like, wow. I mean, most of the reports did say first deal, so that's not a huge surprise. But it was still like, whoa, what's going on? And then we got Harry and Meghan sort of desperate. Oh, no, no, no. We're working on a first look deal. We're working on a first look deal. And Netflix still loves us. So there's actually two different ways this could play. And I'm going to give you the least likely first, just because it doesn't make a ton of sense. And I don't think they have this leverage. So it could be that Meghan Markle revealed that Netflix wasn't going to renew the deal to sort of force Netflix to renew the deal. Doesn't make a ton of sense, to be honest, because I don't think their performance was good enough to have that sort of leverage. And again, Netflix does not appear invested in As Ever at all. Again, they mention it, but they're not helping with marketing or branding or anything. It's a mess. It's a disaster zone. So many different things. Of course, Meghan, again, we have this situation where the wine's still available. I do think Meghan was artificially creating sold out situations so she could have a better deal with Netflix. But this is what I think actually happened is that Meghan, not Harry and Meghan, but Meghan, because I think Harry, again, he's doesn't care. So Meghan was locked into talks with Netflix. And Netflix wasn't giving her what she wanted. And she was being difficult, demanding, all these sorts of things, and claiming she was going to go elsewhere. So Netflix decided to play their hand and leak that, hey, we're not renewing this deal. And guess what? Nobody bit. Nobody went out and goes, oh, we want Harry and Meghan. Because the thing is, what's interesting about Ryan Murphy is that Ryan Murphy had a deal with Netflix and then got scooped up by Disney. And Shonda Rhimes' deal, whenever hers comes up for renegotiation, and she actually got to extend hers, which goes to show that her content was really, really good, that Shonda Rhimes might be poached by somebody else next time. And so Meghan is hanging out there going, pick me, pick me. And nobody was biting. And so Netflix was able to get even more of the upper hand in the negotiations by leaking that they weren't going to renew the deal. Meghan comes crawling back to the table begging for one, and they put one together. Now, again, this is just mere speculation. I have no idea. But the timing for me, which is key here, is that the numbers came out from Netflix and then they leaked that they weren't going to renew Harry and Meghan. So they allowed the Harry and Meghan performance to fester and then came back and goes, yeah, no, we're not continuing this the way we were. And that's where I tend to lean in this situation, in this scenario, is that Netflix was sort of kind of done, or they were interested enough in the divorce. Because honestly, for Harry and Meghan, their biggest bargaining chip right now is if they get divorced. If they show their kids, that's their biggest bargaining chip. Because the projects that we have in development, only 3 named. One of them we've known has been in production hell forever. One we know is been sort of discussed. And another one is just a short. So that's not even that much effort. So none of these scream to me that Netflix is super enthused about Harry and Meghan. They're just keeping him around. Again, when I hear first look deal, I tend to think that they're just like, well, we'll check out and see what they have. And if not, we're totally willing to throw them away. And it was just so funny. There was this, I don't know if she was Sussex Squad or whatever, but just kept going, well, Harry and Meghan, they get to keep their stuff now. Like, okay. But the problem is, it's not good in the first place. And we have an infinite amount of evidence at this point that they do not have good products in terms of their content. It does not generally perform well. And people more hate watch it than anything. And yes, there is a outlet for hate watching out there that generates revenue and stuff like that. But you have to think too, like when it comes to the As Ever thing, Meghan artificially making everything sell out, in my personal opinion, to sort of get Netflix to give her a better deal. Did it really help at the end of the day? Or not? Because I just don't think it did. I just don't think it did. I think that As Ever Netflix has a passing interest in it, a passing interest. If Netflix was truly, truly invested in this, they would be taking it over. They'd be running pretty much everything. Like, Meghan Markle is bumbling and fumbling her way through business. I, again, have a whole video that I filmed actually yesterday to post today, going over, again, all the PR machinations behind Meghan Markle's Harper's Bazaar piece claiming success over all of this. And it's like, well, number one, you don't go to Harper's Bazaar to tell us how great your business is because it's a fashion magazine. But number two, some of it didn't even make any sense in terms of what they were saying in terms of selling. I think the true metric is we're seeing now is that the product has some interest but doesn't move. I think Harry and Meghan series, the one thing that was successful, the only reason they should be thanking their lucky stars because this is the only reason they're getting renewed is for the Harry and Meghan thing. That's the only reason Netflix renewed them is Harry and Meghan, and that's it. Because when they get divorced, Netflix wants a piece of that because that was the only thing that was successful. They are not banking on as ever. I still do not think they care, despite what Bella says. And I truly think that when it comes to the future of Harry and Meghan in Hollywood, it's looking pretty bleak. I don't think the entertainment industry is all that interested in them. They don't have a ton of talent. They're not even in the A list. They're not people that are invited to parties and people want to show off. They want to hide them. They would literally go out of their way to hide if Harry and Meghan are at an event because it's so embarrassing to invite the two of them. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. But Netflix is allowing Meghan to save face and save her ego and the delusions of grandeur that she has. But I think things are on the downward trajectory for them. I really do think so. I think if Netflix was excited about I think it was a great expectations piece that they were going to do and a couple other things, we would hear about that. The only thing we have is Meet Me at the Lake, which is what Netflix owns. Netflix bought that for them. And given that Netflix is sitting on it and not like demanding production increase on that, I think just goes to show that they're really just here in a holding pattern for the greatest story ever told for Netflix, which is divorce, the Harry story, and then the Meghan story, and the competing narratives. That's what Netflix is in it for because it is a heartless corporation. They don't care about thoughts or feelings or anything like that. It's all about the money. Never forget that. In the entertainment industry, 9/10 of the time, it comes down to money. But guys, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall speak to you again very soon because YouTube is king. We perform so much better than Harry and Meghan in some ways. So guys, thank you again for watching and your support, and I shall speak to you again, like I said, very soon. Bye.